Today is Veterans Day in America, and I'm standing in front of Senator Maggie Hassan's office. Like a one-man display of support for Israel, but also at the same time a protest at the way our Democrat Party in America is treating Israel right now. In a couple of hours, right where I'm standing, there's going to be a parade right here for the veterans, and I honor the veterans of this country. I honor the veterans of the IDF as well. I was in Germany when the Marine barracks in Beirut were bombed by the terrorists, and Ronald Reagan, whom I call the godfather of amnesty, one of my nicknames for him. I still respect him, but he did a lot of things that really perturbed me. And one of them was after the Marine barracks were bombed, he tucked tail and ran. It's like, would you abandon a little brother like that to terrorism? And that's pretty much what he did, because America is like the big brother to Israel. And I think our government is doing the same thing right now. We're abandoning our little brother. I don't, like I said from day one of this war in Israel, it wasn't even a war to begin with. The Israelis were just living in peace, and there was a terrorist invasion, and the crimes they committed, they were not necessarily war crimes. They were crimes against humanity. And so now the Biden administration, which really, is Biden even know what's going on? I mean, who's really running the show? We all know it's Barack Obama, Susan Rice, and they're using Blinken as their proxy to support Hamas. It's disgusting. That's why I'm in front of a Democrat senator's office. What is she doing about it? Senator Hassan, why is this administration pro-Hamas? Why are we telling Israel to cease fire? Why aren't we putting pressure on Qatar? Qatar is a state sponsor of terrorism. Really, why are we telling Israel what munitions they can use? This administration is pro-Hamas. I said in day one, don't listen to what Biden says about how he supports Israel. Look at the policy. And the policy is pro-Hamas. Yeah, America has contractual obligations to resupply Israel of weapons that they buy from us in a time of war, but they are using that as leverage to try to get Israel to stop fighting. Ceasefire, humanitarian aid. Where's all the pressure on Russia to have a ceasefire and humanitarian aid? You don't hear any of that. But as soon as Jews or Israel is involved, all of a sudden all these left-wingers come out and they start rooting for the other side.
Shame! These are people who get kidnapped.
C'est l'Amérique qui te donne le message, Baba. C'est l'Amérique.
Don't take it off.
C'est l'Amérique qui
Don't
te donne.
take it off.
C'est l'Amérique qui te donne.
Don't take it off. Don't take it off. No.
des assassins.
Shame! These are people who took their families. They're dying there.
How much
Human
people
beings.
killed
Do you
in
have
Gaza?
heart? 14,000 people got murdered. You don't have shame on you.
No.
Go.
You would
Shame
have
on you. Shame. Beast. Animal. You should be ashamed of yourself. Women got raped. People took them from their families, from their home. Shame of yourself. Go away.
Do you realize that if Israel were to stop right now and let Hamas survive, it would be a victory for Hamas. It would be a victory for terrorism around the world. And that's exactly what this administration is doing. They are trying to force Israel to lose this war. If we actually used our leverage instead of trying to hamstring Israel, we'd be doing a much greater service to humanity. Qatar is a state sponsor of terrorism. They've supplied millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to Hamas and to other terrorist organizations. We have a military base there, the United States. We could threaten to pull that base out, and guess what? Qatar would all of a sudden be interested in getting hostages out of Gaza. Because we're over there right now negotiating. Oh, let's get some hostages out. Literally, this administration is in cohorts with the funders of this attack Iran and Qatar both funded this attack. And we're over there saying, oh, what can we do to get some more hostages out? And they're like, okay, we'll give you 10 hostages if you a ceasefire. 10 out of the 240 hostages. So what's going to happen if there's a ceasefire, right? Hamas is going to regroup. The United Nations humanitarian aid's going to come in. Guess who's going to get all the fuel? Guess who's going to get, whatever they want, because out of the 30,000 UN employees in Gaza, there's 300 foreigners, at least before the war, and the others are employed by Hamas. So Hamas is basically going to get whatever they want to resupply and rearm and reinvigorate. That's what America's trying to do. They're trying to hamstring out, and oh my gosh. We have military advisors, woke military advisors, literally woke military advisors, like the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Like Obama and Biden. Obama started replacing all the generals with the wokesters, and Biden is reaping the benefits of that right now. And they have U.S. advisors. They've shoehorned their way into military, strategic military meetings right now. I don't know how. Why has America got these advisors that pulled out of Afghanistan and left, billions of dollars worth of weapons for terrorists to take? Now we're advising Israel. What a joke that is. So we got these military advisors sitting in with the Israeli military, asking them to reduce the ordnance size of the munitions that they are using. Can you believe that? Like, can you use smaller bombs? Like, you need a certain size weapon to hit the ground, followed by another certain size weapon to follow that up to get into the tunnels that are dug way under the ground. And we're telling them to use smaller bombs, please. And think about it, when you hit a tunnel site and then the next block a building collapses, it's because those tunnels are dug underneath the buildings. And when you destroy the tunnel, the buildings collapse. All these billions of dollars of U.S. money, European money, Qatar money, Iranian money, instead of turning Gaza into the Singapore of the Middle East with all that money, they've turned it into Gaza City into the largest terror camp on the planet. And Israel is in there right now doing humanity a favor by destroying this terrorism camp, and Biden administration is trying to stop it. Where is Maggie Hassan? Where is she? Or Qatar is in their Doha hotels are housing a lot of the Hamas senior leadership. They kept one of the masterminds of 9/11 in Qatar. Al Jazeera is in Qatar. Al Jazeera is all over the world. North America, South America, Europe, spreading anti-Semitism. And there we are with our military base in their country, providing cover for them. And at the same time, Qatar is giving billions of dollars to American universities, Brandeis University. I don't even remember all the names of the universities I had read, but and these universities are virulently anti-Semitic. And the think tanks that Qatar is giving money to is advising Biden and the Obama, administration. That's what I call it, the Biden-Obama administration. So they are lining their pockets with the money from a state sponsor of terrorism, and then doing their bidding by asking Israel to stop. It's a joke. It's a joke. We need to threaten to pull that base out of Qatar, and the hostages would be freed. And I would do it anyhow. Get out of Qatar. Just go to UAE if you need a base over there. Trump was setting up peace agreements with Arabs and Israel, which is another reason why Hamas probably was threatened by these peace deals, the Palestinians, because I heard they were going to put Saudi Arabia, they were talking about making them in charge of security at the dome, at the Temple Mount. And Hamas keeps using this Al-Aqsa as an excuse, because Al-Aqsa, which is a mosque that was built on top of Israel's holiest site, and they call it their third holiest site because Muhammad did some flight, on a flying donkey. He went to Jerusalem. So they used that, a dream, to steal the holiest site in Israel, when every artifact you can dig up, every rock in Israel screams that this is the Jewish land. I mean, why isn't Obama putting pressure on Sisi? I mean, there's a lot of heavy munitions in Gaza that they could not have been made there. They were smuggled in, and they were smuggled in through Egypt. So Sisi's he's just like Erdogan, maybe he's worse than Erdogan. I mean, the Muslim Brotherhood placed Sisi in a leadership role in the military, and then he kept advancing. And then when they had the coup in Egypt, 2013, which I was in Egypt in August of that year, right after the coup. When I went to Tahrir Square, it still had tanks all around. Everybody kept checking my ID. He kicked the Muslim Brotherhood out, and so you would think, okay, this guy is going to be reasonable. He's going to honor this peace deal that Egypt has with Israel. He was letting them smuggle in weapons, and as far as Gaza being this largest open air open air prison camp, really, they share a border with a Muslim country. They should be able to come in and out anytime they want. No, because the Muslims like the Palestinians to be there, so they can use them as proxies in demonizing Israel. And if you did a DNA test on the Gazans, most of them would come up with Egyptian DNA. Most of the Muslims in Judea and Samaria will come up with Jordanian DNA. Look at their flag; it's basically a Jordanian flag. And what's Blinken doing? Traveling around the globe, complaining about the displacement of Gazans. Like literally, Israel is dropping leaflets asking the civilians to flee the terror camp of Gaza.
The Israeli Air Force dropped over 1.5 million flyers, like these ones here, and to indicate that it was new warning and updates the corridors to move south. Let's watch how it looks like.
What does Blinken want? He wants the civilians to stay there? Like, we've given them so much money, and what did they do with the money? Why doesn't he talk about rebuilding Israel? They were the ones that were invaded and had all their kibbutzim destroyed, burned, all their vehicles burned. The dude has no clue. And he talks so much. Like, I'm telling you, do not listen to what he says about being pro-Israel. In the very beginning, I was like, oh, please, I'm not buying it. I care about their policy, like I've said. And his policy was very anti-Israel, complaining about Jews living in Judea and Samaria. Judea, literally, Judea. Where do you think the word Jew comes from? And he's complaining about Jews in Judea. And now all the 300,000 Israeli reservists have been called up, many of them from the settler camps in Judea and Samaria, so-called West Bank, and all the women there are petrified. Like, great, who's going to protect us? We're surrounded by 2 million guys that are chomping at the bit to slaughter us. The Palestinian Authority, I don't know why anybody even dares to call them moderate. They're literally calling for jihad against the Jews. And the men in Judea, Samaria are gone. And America is pussyfooting around as far as giving them weapons so the people that are left behind can defend themselves. Yeah, this administration is supporting Hamas, and Biden wants to give them another $100 million. Like when Trump was president, they went in, they showed him, look at Mr. Trump, you know what UNRWA is doing? Let me show you some videos of what UNRWA is doing. Let me show you their education system and how they're educating these poor children. Yeah, the children are the victims of their own people. And Trump says, oh yeah, we're not giving them another dime. He withdrew the funding. And then Biden got in there, gave the funding right back. Here you go, terrorists. Here's some more American money. And now this administration is digging up the dinosaurs. There's 250,000 Jews that have been displaced from their homes in the north of Israel and the south of Israel. And then Hillary Clinton, they dragged her out, gave her enough meds so she could put a sentence together, and she's calling for new leadership.
Very quickly, do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is a partner for a two-state solution?
I don't think there's any evidence of that. I think the Israeli people will have to decide about his leadership. I think there will be investigations about what led up to and what happened on October the 7th. But I think there needs to be new leadership of the Israelis and the Palestinians in order to have any chance at some kind of peace deal.
We want new leadership. They're going after Netanyahu. And people are like calling, saying that he needs to go because of this attack that happened on October 7th. It was the army intelligence, the head of intelligence, that failed Israel. He got a phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sir, looks like there's about to be an invasion. He's like, yeah, I'm sleeping. I'm all set. He didn't call anybody. He didn't run it up the ladder. They didn't wake up Netanyahu. He went back to sleep. They just internalized it and kept it to themselves. It's their fault. It's the army intelligence fault. You know, along that fence, that security fence between Gaza and Israel, there used to be a one kilometer buffer zone. It was called a kill zone. So if any, that girl just said F Israel. There's a Hamas terror supporter right there. It's hard to soar like an eagle when you're surrounded by turkeys. So going back to this buffer zone, there was a 1 kilometer buffer zone all along that fence around Gaza. So any Gazan who came close with 1 kilometer of that fence, they were entering a kill zone. But Obama made Israel get rid of that buffer zone. Yeah. Like if there was still that buffer zone, this attack may have been rooted out immediately that morning. But no, they're allowed to go right to the fence and do whatever they were doing. They need another DMZ, absolutely. I'm still a little shook up by that girl saying F Israel. These are Democrats. This is the anti-Jew sentiment is baked into the Democrat institution. All their institutions. Well, maybe that's a little stretch, but like BLM is one of the most the most racist organization since the KKK, and they're very anti-Semitic. I don't know, I'll close with another example of how the Biden administration is trying to destroy Israel. Even to this day, even right now, in the midst of this, the largest Holocaust against Jews since the Holocaust, and I'm surrounded by Holocaust deniers, Blinken is still calling for a two-state solution. That solution's been dead for a long time, but imagine what a two-state solution would be. Imagine. You're going to give these terrorists their own country. They can have their own international airport. They can give passports to anybody they want. Anybody can come in. They can funnel in as much weapons as they want. They can build a nuclear bomb. Israel would have no security oversight over any of it. What do you think would happen to the Jews of Israel? They would get their dream from the river to the sea. Palestine, it will be free. That's their mantra. Genocide against the Jews.
Palestine will be free! Long live the Intifada! Long live the Intifada!
So I just wanted to give a little update about how the Biden administration is rooting for Hamas. So as an American, I apologize for this administration. I didn't vote for it. I don't want to go into the election. That's a whole nother rabbit trail. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Shalom.